Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. I'm joined once again by Lewis Herms. We always have a good time. We always give you guys great information. Here we are on Halloween, October 31st, and it's a very interesting deep state ritual, Luciferian ritual that they convinced us is a good time, a party time. Lewis, let's talk about this. What do you got?
Well, Halloween is interesting. I mean, if you research it, you're going to find, I don't know, dozens of different opinions of how it started and why it started and what's going on. And I think a lot of that is actually disinformation to take us off track of what really is going on. And
Right.
in my opinion, what really is going on could be another expert's opinion that's completely different. But what I have found is it looks like it originated in Ireland through a bunch of druids, and these druids were controlling a portion of Ireland with an evil iron fist, like everything, and they used that as fear in order to scare and rule. And then and it was on this date, and they considered it back then, instead of summer ending towards the end of September, it ended at October 31st. So this was their big ritual of how they felt they had the most power on that day. And they would intentionally do a lot of sacrifices and rule with an iron fist, and in a really very, very scary way. And these were just druids, but they had a lot of power back, and I'm saying hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
And then in modern day, a lot of people don't know this, but Aleister Crowley started to pick up the mantle, and then Anton LaVey really pick up the mantle, and they specifically did satanic rituals on this day, and they made it their holiday.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of the genesis of what we got to where we are now. But they had this idea, because they're psychos, that if we can make it fun and get everybody involved, right, they are casting their spells for us. And there's more power for them in numbers. So we unintentionally are helping them cast their spells. Now, I believe that for me, that doesn't work, because I reject it. I believe anything in light, that if you reject the darkness, right, it has no power. But Perfect. They believe it works. And so they would congregate, and they would use the unknowing. And originally, if I remember reading, it was witches, druids, ghouls, and a couple other things to help them with this, and we transitioned into, I would go out, I may dress as Ronald Reagan one day, I don't know, but I used to do this. So, but we were helping them with the ritual. So now it is a cherished day. It's a top 2 or 3 day for the Satanists this day right now. But I believe you and I choose to spread light over it,
right?
Which, in my opinion, completely disembowels what they're trying to accomplish.
Wow, that's a good history lesson. I didn't know about that. I'm definitely going to do some research into that. Now, we had 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐘 was going to join us, and she couldn't join us because of maybe the grid's going down everywhere, kind of like what we talked about. I had some problems this morning. We just had some problems getting on. So there was a coronal mass ejection from the sun, so it's starting to hit us during this time frame right now. So that could be something that's going on. Usually it's like you asked me, it's like an EMP. It's like a wave that comes through and starts to shut down. The grid can shut down power. Some people might see their power go out, and it's probably because the coronal mass ejection is, its waves of energy are hitting us. So unfortunately, we don't have 𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐘. She'll join us at another event sometime in the near future. We definitely want to get her on, because she is just a wealth of information in this particular subject area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't done Halloween for a long time. Once I started doing the research into it and seeing that it was basically a ritual for the witches and the evil witches and deep state and so forth. So Luciferian types, and we're trying to reconfigure the earth. We're reconfiguring the earth. We're breaking away from their corrupt system, restarting other things. In New York, for instance, their mandates and stuff are putting a lot of people out of work. Trash hasn't been picked up on this, piling up on the streets. Tomorrow, I guess 20 fire stations shut down. So this Luciferian, like you talked about, it's a mind thing, because I teach in a lot of my work that your thoughts have incredible power. And if you're negative with your thoughts, they have an effect on other people.
Yeah.
And if someone sends negative thoughts to you, it has an effect on you if you're not protecting yourself. So I totally believe in what you're saying, that they flipped this holiday, like they have a lot of different events, and made it into it's a fun time, but it's quite evil. I mean, we see it in all of the shows, like Friday the 13th and all these other Halloween, where people were like knifed of the day. But it's just to create fear and terror in people. And I remember I used to like get dressed up as a hillbilly. I'd have my teeth are all like nasty, put one of those little things in, and I'd have like a wig on and stuff, and I'd walk around with my shirt torn with like blood stains on it. And the ghouls, the people playing ghouls, would look at me like, oh shit, and they were scared, and I was just like a dude, like a country hick, dude,
They bet you're coming after them.
So it kind of can be fun. It kind of can be funny. I gotta admit, I've had some good times.
Yep.
We can have times and fun times like that on a different day.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but these Satanists have multiple reasons why they do something at one time. So this is all calculated, and everybody has to know this. But you touched on something that I think is very important. We're trying to flip the script, and we are doing that throughout. I mean, Juanos even talks about the numbers, and we're doing it with the numbers. And I know you and Tracy Joe and everybody, you're spreading light.
Mm-hmm.
You've taught me about love bubbles, which is hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
So we are absolutely flipping the script. What I like to equate it to, though, is here's why about voodoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Voodoo is not effective without the victim believing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how powerful the mind is, guys. So if somebody stabs somebody through the heart on a voodoo doll, they may want it to have some effect from a spell operational standpoint, but they generally, it only works when the victim knows about it. So they'll leave that doll on their front step, right? And then in Jamaica, it was known to be a practice for years and years and years. And I believe in Haiti also. That's not a coincidence, by the way. So what happens is they see that our mind is so powerful, the mind can give somebody a heart attack. Your mind can actually give you a heart attack.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how strong it is. So if it's the participant on the victim side that believes it, is why these things go bad. So I flip the script. I call it reverse voodoo, where we just need to believe that we spread the light and they are affected. And if we come together with our collective consciousness and we're constantly turning every negativity that they do in a positive way, like I have no problem using 666 because I'm just flipping it on them. Screw them. I'm not worried about them. This is, I'm shedding light on that. You have zero power over me whatsoever. They can't take that. And when more than two people do that, and then 3, and then or 4, and then 8, and then 16, 32, and it goes multiplies exponentially, they're done. They cannot handle us flipping the script on them. So I joke around calling it reverse voodoo, where I will spread positivity in their direction constantly. Mm-hmm. And I think you've actually, through your Navy SEAL and CIA operations, you've like physically done this, and you have operational success with it, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I talk about this quite often, how I would create a love bubble, and it can eventually, we'd either drone strike them because we were able to find them. Like we weren't able to find them for years, and then I started to focus on them, and then when a period of time, boom, they're gone. Whether it was from a drone strike or whether it was from, like we saw with Bin Laden, SEAL Team 6 came in, my old SEAL team. So it's kind of not kind of, but those coincidences start to happen when you're involved in this work. You'll start to see that, did I have that effect? And then eventually you're going to start to see, yes, you're having an effect with your consciousness. So they understand that, but they want to scare us, like Halloween. They want to scare us into believing that these abilities are evil because they use them. They don't want us to use them. So it's very important, like on a day like today, I think, to not get involved in their little, party.
Yeah.
And on top of that, flip it like you're talking about, send out all kinds of love, do positive things. Like, people don't do it as much. People are starting to see through this. I don't seeing as many. I haven't seen as many people involved in this for many years now, and it's getting less and less and less. So there are people are waking up, to this being. Why would we want to do evil stuff? It's like it's stupid. But there are a lot of people out there that are doing it.
That's part of their spell casting, which is interesting, is they get us to say their spells constantly. Yeah. So when we say trick or treat, we're literally casting their spell on their behalf. It's and I don't say this because I agree with what the cabal does. I'm going to preface that. I say what I'm going to say next is because it is very impressive how sophisticated their operations are.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and I admire that, right? I don't admire them. I admire their sophistication and their thought process that goes into this. Mm-hmm. Now, why is that? I admire that. And why do I say that openly? Because I believe you have to know your enemy. Mm-hmm. And in order to know your enemy, you really have to study them. And sometimes you have to admire them so you can pre-act before they do, because you need to anticipate their actions. So they are brilliant, but they are not creative. And they do not have God on their side. So that's why we win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very methodical, long-term plans, and they have a lot of money and people to back it up. So we know that they slip drugs in and stuff like that, and some of the candies for the kids, and that's been a problem for a while. So I can't imagine since razor blades and candy and all kind of crazy stuff, it's just out of control now. It's like, if you got to do something on this day, take your kids and have a little party, with a group. But for me, I'm like, don't even do it, because basically you're giving energy to a dark force.